Hello, hello, everyone. Welcome to, oh my goodness, welcome to April. First of all, today is April 1st, and welcome to my page. I'm Betsy at Heavens to Betsy Cakery, and I'm participating in a fun day called Creations of Jan's Crafty Funds or Crafty Friends Marketplace. And today is our Creators Crafting Day. So there's going to be several of us back to back that are creating live for you. I'm going to pull you up in my phone really quick. So let me find my page and get us on my page. Whoopsie. Sorry about that. Let's see. And then that way, if you are here watching me live, say hello in the comments below. And if you're catching this on replay, still say hi in the comments, and then I'll get a notification, and then I can come back and say hello to you. There we are. Okay, let me make sure my sound is turned down. All right, there we are. So yay, so welcome, welcome. Let me get a sip of water, and then I'm going to give you a little bit of a sneak peek of what we're making today. Drinking hot water, and it's pretty hot. So, okay, and I'm going to add a second camera so you'll be able to see up close. But it's April 1st, which is April Fool's Day, and I thought we would do a fun little April Fool's type fake bake. So we are making a spaghetti and meatball cupcake with a little Parmesan cheese sprinkled on top. So I'm going to go ahead and add our second camera so that way you can see up close what I'm doing. And I got a lot of stuff happening on my table, so bear with me. Let me add this extra camera. And there we go. Alrighty, so as we go along, if you have any questions, just put them in the comments below, and then I'll be able to get to you either immediately or I'll go back in and I'll get them later as well. Hi, Jan. Welcome, welcome. So yay. Okay, perfect. She just let me know that I am in the group, which is awesome. So I'm streaming live to my page. There are several of us crafters, very talented ladies, that are all sharing their crafts today. And so if you are not a member of it's called the Creations of Jan's Crafty Friends Marketplace group. I know it's a lot, but it's a wonderful group. If you're not part of that, it's a free group to join. Please click the link. It's above, and I'll post it below my video on my page. So that way you can join, and then you can watch all of us live, or you can come back and watch all of us on replay. So, all right, so I'm going to get started. Let me move my water and my mouse out of the way. Again, I've got the next camera up so I can show you. So we're just going to do a fun little spaghetti and meatballs cupcakes since it's April Fool's, and this will be fun, not just for today, April Fool's, but I always think ahead. So it'll be fun if if you're making like Halloween crafts, creations, things to decorate a tiered tray. This would be a really fun like addition. For all of you that know me, you know I love Rae Dunn. I collect Rae Dunn. So this is a little Rae Dunn cupcake liner, but you could use any. Anyway, I just thought it was fun because it says delish. Reminds me a little bit of an Italian type of a cupcake, so I love that. So hello, everyone. Hi, Darlene. Hi, Kathy. Hi, I see you all popping in to join me. Yay. This is going to be a really fun day. So I've got a lot of stuff on my table, so I'm going to go through the ingredients, and then we'll start making them. So, okay, so what you're going to need is a cupcake liner. You can use any. I'm using the little stiff cardboard ones. Well, they're not really cardboard. They're more like a cardstock. But you could use any, okay? And for our cupcake bases, I'm using Foam It 5. I'm going to grab the box, and then I'll show you as we go. It looks like this. So we're going to make our cupcakes out of this. We're just going to do vanilla cupcakes, kind of keep it simple. And then for our noodles, we're going to be using Fast and Final. Let me hold that up for you. Move my cupcake so it doesn't get in there. Let me twist that around. Okay, so we're using the Fast and Final. It's a lightweight spackle. You can use any brand. This is just the one I am using for this one. I'm also using a clear caulk, which is this. I use it in my, it's huge. I use it in my caulking gun, but you can get it in like the smaller tubes if you want. You don't have to do that. I like it this way because it's really easy to use. When you put it in the gun, you can like open it, you can depress what you need, and then seal it back up, and it stays fresh until you use it again. With the little caulking, like the caulking tubes, like the other ones, I just find I can't squeeze them and get all of the contents out of it. So, but you can use either one. Okay, so we're going to use some of that. For our cupcake, well, for the noodle part, our spaghetti, I'll hold it up again. For the spaghetti, I'm using the Folk Art in the matte, and it's called Hazy Moon. So it looks like that. I don't know if the camera's going to clear it up or not. I'm not sure. And then for our sauce, I'm using two different colors, and I'm using the Americana in the True Red, and then I'm also using Anita's in the chocolate brown, just to deepen it a little bit so it doesn't look so pink. And we are making meatballs, so I'm using these little styrofoam balls. I always get my things crooked. Sorry about that. Anyway, so I'm using the little craft balls, and these are 1.3 inch. So you don't have to use exact ones, but something similar in size, just so it looks more like a real meatball, right? Okay, and then we are making something called coffee grunge. That's what we're using to not really paint, but to color our meatball. So you'll see, just gives it a really nice deep shade that looks like a meatball, which is what we're after. So we're going to be making coffee grunge. For that, I'm using, I just use a little, I'm like a mason jar girl. So you'll find, for those of you who are just meeting me, you'll find how much I love mason jars. For all of you who already know me, you already know I'm a mason jar girl. So anyway, I'm just mixing it up in a little mason jar. And for our coffee grunge, you're going to need instant coffee, some water, some cinnamon, and then an extract. I already have another container of coffee grunge. Once I mix them up, I store them in my refrigerator, and then I can use them for my fake bakes, and they stay good. For this one, I'm going to use vanilla extract. You can use any flavor. And then what else do I need? Am I missing anything? I don't know. I think I got everything. Oh, no, I didn't. Okay. And then for our tomato sauce, like the spaghetti sauce, I'm using something called flocking, and I'm using red flocking to go inside of our sauce. And then for the Parmesan, I'm using a cream colored flocking. I know my cameras, it's kind of hard to see. So I'm using a cream colored flocking. Oh, and then I wanted it to have like oregano, Italian seasoning type of a look to it. So I had some dried flowers, and I just took the stems. And then I put them in a grinder and crushed them up. So that way I'll be sprinkling them on the sauce at the end. So, okay, I think that's it. If not, and I forgot anything, I'll just tell you as we go. So let me get a drink really quick. Jan, they are super cute liners. I have lots of them, but this one I just thought was really sweet. So anyway, so I'm going to clear some space for us. I'm going to put our little meatball back here so it's not in my way. And then I'm going to clear some space. Okay, so let's see. I'm going to go ahead and we'll make up the cupcakes first because I already have some made up for you. So with the cupcakes using the foam at 5, you want to make your cupcakes, but then you need to let them cure before you decorate them. So I'll show you here. I already have some that I'm going to be decorating. So these are ready to go. You'll see how they look like fake cupcakes. These are vanilla. But anyway, so I'm going to make them with you so that you know how. All right, so I need another table. My stuff is growing. Okay, let's just scoochie this out of the way. I'll set that there. Okay, so I'm going to grab my 3 cups. Okay, and then I'm also using, you can use any container. I really like these that have the markings on them. For this product, you're going to use equal amounts. And so this just makes it really super easy because you can just put, I'm going to be using 2 ounces of the foam at 5, and it makes 3 cupcakes. And so I'm going to use part A will be 1 ounce, part B will be 2 ounces. So I'm going to spread my little cups out. You want to make sure when you do if you're making cupcakes in the liners, you just want to make sure that you're wearing gloves, definitely need some gloves. Keep yourself safe. But you also want to make sure that wherever you pour it, that you're setting it on a level surface, because the product itself is self-leveling. And so if your surface is not level, then when your cupcakes set up, they won't rise and be level on the top. Like you'll have a little dip, which really is fine, because if you make real cupcakes, that's going to happen. So, and I'm all about realistic looking fake foods. So, all right, let me get my gloves on, and we're going to be using the Foam at 5. It's kind of like a resin type of product where you're going to use an A and a B. So you'll see in the kit, it comes, let me turn this one. The kit, it comes with the 2 containers. You've got a part A and a part B, and then we're just going to mix them together. I will tell you, this goes really quick. So do not mix if you're going to make these, don't mix up your ingredients until you are ready to go. Like have your cupcake liners out and ready, because it goes really fast. I'm going to move my coffee ingredients over here out of the way a little bit, just to give us some more room. Okay. Like I said, I got a lot happening on my table today. Okay, there we go. All right, so I'm going to pour, okay, so you can stir with this product. It says you can stir or shake. I'm going to shake them because these are liquid, and I can just combine them really easily. I'm also, I'm going to start with B. When I pour in the B, I'm going to stir it in my container. Normally, like if you're using resins, you want to stir in the same direction if you're using a resin, and then to help minimize like putting air and bubbles into your resin. But with this product, that's not what we're going to do. We are going to, okay, I'm going to make sure I'm going to measure 1. I'm going to stir it for about 15-20 seconds, just the part B. And then what I'm doing is I am aerating it a little bit, and I'm adding a little bit of, I'm adding some air and some bubbles into it. And then what that's going to do is it's going to help the cupcakes rise even further, like into the, like rise. I want them to expand and rise as high as they can. And this is going to ensure that that happens. So there. So yeah, they go. Hi, Robin. Welcome, welcome. Robin is with Zimmy's Simple Designs, and she's coming up next after me. So after my tutorial, stay tuned. If you're in the group, you can just refresh your page, and then she'll be live next. So you'll be able to see her crafting as well today. So we have several of us lined up for today on the first day of April. Can you believe it? Like, where'd the first 3 months of this year go? I know for me, there's been a lot happening, as many of you know. So it's just been a blur. But anyway, I'm super happy that spring is here now, officially here. Okay, so I'm just stirring this up. And when you do, make sure you scrape the sides down, just so that way you're getting all that mixture stirred in. Okay. And like I said, it's self-leveling, so I can leave my spoon in there, and then I can add the other part. Again, when you add it, make sure your cupcakes are ready, because if not, it will end up setting up on you before you want it to. We don't want that. Okay. I didn't bring a paper towel. I'm going to try not to be messy with this. A lot of times I will bring a paper towel. Okay, I need just a pinch more. I have a doggy door. And so we have 2 little doggies, Honey and Teddy Bear. Many of you know them. And Teddy, mostly, she loves to come in and craft with me. So not really craft with me, but she loves to hang out with me. Okay, so I'm going to move this forward, and then I'm going to stir it. Okay, so what I want you to see is that when you first stir it up, it's going to be this dark caramely brown. And then as you stir it and combine it, it's going to get a little bit lighter, but it's still going to look like this, like muddy water, like very muddy, right? But once you put it in your cupcakes and it fully cures, it will turn vanilla. Okay, so the way I start is I'm just going to put 1 spoon in the center of my cups, and I want you to be careful not to get it like on the edges or, you know, spilling it down the side, because wherever you get it, it's going to set up there. Okay, so what I do is I put 2 teaspoons for each little liner, and then you don't have to do this. I'm just one for being consistent. So I'm going to grab my scale, because after I put my 2 teaspoons, I still have a little bit left in the container. So what I like to do is I have a little scale, my kitchen scale, and then I'll just zero it out, and then I'll just weigh the whole cup. And I know from making other cupcakes that it's either going to be a 0.7 or a 0.8. So I'm going to stop at 0.7. And then what I'm doing is I'm just measuring them all together and making sure that each cupcake liner has the same amount. And the only reason for that is when they do expand, I want them all to be similar in size. Okay. All right. I have a little bit more. So I'm going to go with 0.8. And then I'm just going to tap it. I have this little baby tray, which I love because I can pick it up and move it and then set it down without actually having to move, like without having to pick up each individual cupcake. I can just pick up the tray. Okay, so I've got 0.8. And then, like I said, you just want to work fast because it's going to set up. I'm going to add a little bit more to this and then we're done because I can see it starts to get foamy. And when it gets to that point, you don't want to add any more. You just want to let it do its thing. So, okay, so you'll see those rise. Let me move this out of the way. I didn't get anything on me. Amazing. That never happens. So let me scooch this out of the way. All right, but if you guys have any questions, hi, Inga. I see you're in here as well. If you have any questions, just let me know. I try not to waste my gloves if I don't get anything on them, which I didn't. So I'm going to pull these off and save them. Okay. So we'll just set that over there. And then my table does have a slight little tilt. So what I do is when they start to expand, as you see, I'll just move my tray. Like I'll just turn it, like rotate it. And then that helps it. So that way, as it's setting up, it will try to help level it. Like I'm trying to help it a little bit. So, okay. Let me pull those off. We'll use those again. Okay, so we're not going to use these for this. I'm going to use these. I'm going to make these and let them set up. Then I can use them later. So here's what they look like all finished. And you'll be able to see these are already rising pretty quickly. But you'll be able to see what it looks like when it's done. And then for this product, Foam at 5, the foam is hard. So you'll hear it. So yeah, so it just makes it really nice and easy to decorate with. So, okay, so that's all we're going to do for the cupcakes. And you're going to let them sit. Let me take a drink and then I'm going to tell you something about them. Okay, it usually takes, for Foam at 5, it usually takes about 20 minutes for the, from start to finish as far as where it reaches its complete elevation. And then you really shouldn't handle them for at least 2 hours. And then after that, then you can come in and you'll see like they're fully cured and you can touch them. On the bottom, what I like to do with mine is put my business stickers, like my business labels on the bottom. It just helps people know where your products come from, especially if you sell. I do have an Etsy shop, so you can find me at, if you click on Etsy, Heavens to Betsy Cakery, I'm over there. I also have a website, Heavens to Betsy Cakery, where I sell my finished products. And then I also offer a membership for the DIYer who wants to learn how to make fake food. For tiered trays for everyday, seasonal, holiday themed tiered trays and displays. And you can find me over there. And that's called the Cakery. So we just call it the Cakery Content Club. And we just kind of call it the Cakery. It's called Cakery Content Club. But yeah, that's a lot of fun. We have a community over there. I do weekly tutorials in the membership. We have a weekly chat in the membership. We just have all kinds of fun things. So, okay, so these are, I'm just going to set these behind me as they set up, and they're just going to keep rising and doing their things. So I'm going to stick them over here, and then we can come back to them later. And I'll show you what they look like after they finish. So, okay, so we've got our cupcake bases started. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to make the meatballs. Well, yeah, meatballs. So, so I'm going to make the coffee grunge, and let me grab some measuring cups. Okay, so for the coffee grunge, what we're going to do is we're going to use you want a jar. It doesn't have to be a mason jar, although they're the best, but you just want to use a jar. You want 1 cup of water. So the recipe I'm using, and you can, if you've made this before, your recipe may be different, or if you do a search, you may find other people's recipes may be different as well. Anyway, for my recipe, I'm going to use 1 cup of water, and it's just room temperature water. If you did like hot water, or, you know, if you did hot water, we're using instant coffee, it would help dissolve it quicker. But this does just fine, like even with just the room temperature. Okay, so I'm going to be using instant coffee. So I'm going to do 1 cup of water. Let me do I need, I'm going to do a half a cup. So I want this little one. I'm going to do a half a cup of instant coffee. So what I'm using is a couple things. So I already have one container in my fridge that's a caramel. No, it's not a caramel. I have one in my fridge that's a maple coffee grunge, and we're going to make a caramel one today. Okay, so I'm using instant coffee, and you can use any. I'm just using, like, this brand just happens to be like a gold. It just says medium roast, which is fine. But I'm also using something called, it's by Beanies, and it's a creamy caramel flavor, and it's also instant coffee. But I don't want to use the whole, I need a half a cup, but I don't want to use a half a cup of the caramel. So what I'm going to do, I wish you guys could smell this. Like, I don't know if you're coffee drinkers or not, but it just smells so good. Like the cinnamon and the caramel, like it's so aromatic. So anyway, so I'm going to use a little bit of the, probably like half. So I'm going to use a half a cup of instant coffee, but I'm going to use like a quarter of my caramel flavored one. And then a quarter of just the regular roast, just so that way I'm getting the best of both worlds. Okay. So I'm just going to fill it up about that far. And then I'm going to add the caramel. And if you guys have any questions, just let me know. Okay, so I'm going to fill it up. There's a little line in my measuring cup that shows me half cup. So I'm going to stop there. It smells so good. Okay, and then we're going to pour it in our water. I'm just going to pour it in. And we'll put that back over there. I'll wash that later. Don't need those. Okay, and then the next thing we're going to do is some cinnamon and some vanilla. So I'm going to shake this up first before I add the other two things, just to give it an extra little start. So you'll see when we do, it gets very dark. And we're going to use this to make our meatballs. Okay. So I'm going to open that back up. It's still dissolving, but it's steadily dissolving. Okay, and I'm going to use 2 tablespoons of cinnamon, and then I'm just going to pour it directly into my jar. And I honestly have, like, I was looking for it over there. I have a really big container of cinnamon that I bought. If you have like a Sam's Club or a Costco, you can purchase them there, or you can even order them online. And then I just refill my little container. So, all right, so I've got 2 tablespoons of cinnamon. So I'll move that out of the way. And then I'm going to use vanilla extract, and I'm using 2 tablespoons of that. I'm going to go on this side. And the same with my vanilla. I have a big bottle of it, and I just refill this little container. It just makes it easy. For us crafters, you know, we use a lot of materials, a lot of ingredients. So it just helps. Okay, and then that's it. And then I'm just going to screw the lid back on. And then I'm going to get a little wet wipe my mat off. And then I'm just going to shake it. And I'm just going to gently shake it. And then we're going to let it set for a second, because I don't really want, when you shake it up, you get those foamy bubbles on top. I don't really want the foamy bubbles, but it'll be just fine. Like, we just want to combine it. Okay. But you're going to get this really rich brown color. You'll see how it's like half foamy and half bubbles. Okay. So I'm going to let that sit now. That should be good. I'm going to move my cupcakes over here. And then I'm just going to grab a wet wipe and clean up my mess. So if you guys have any questions, just let me know. I'm happy to answer them for you. So let me wipe this off. And then I'm also going to clear off some of my stuff. I don't need all these ingredients anymore, right? Okay, so let's move that over to there. I'm going to set these over here. So hang on, I'm just going to go out of your view for just a second. There we go. All right, it'll just make more room for us. So, okay. All right, so we've got the coffee grunge. Okay, and then how we're going to make the meatballs is we're using the little craft balls. And then I'm going to use, I'm using a skewer, just a wooden skewer. And I'm just going to cut it in half. We're not really, did I bring my glue gun? Let me see. Okay, I didn't see my glue gun. Oh, there it is. Okay. Actually, I wanted my big one. I don't think I have it in here. Okay. So anyway, I'm going to glue the skewer into the little styrofoam ball because we're going to leave the skewer in there. So here's a little finished meatball just to show you. And then we're just leaving that skewer in there, and then we're going to cut it off shorter. So that gives us something to stick down into our spaghetti noodles. But I don't see my glue gun in here. I don't think I brought it. Let me check. No, I don't see it. Okay, hang on one second. I need to grab my glue gun. So sorry. Thought I had everything. Oopsie. Okay. Hear that clunky noise? That's my door. Sorry, I had to go get this. That clunking noise was my door. My husband built a doggy door to go inside of my door. So that way my girls can come in and out whenever I'm crafting. And I don't have to stop what I'm doing. I'm sorry, I'm plugging this in. I don't have to stop what I'm doing to let them in, which is wonderful. It's so nice. Okay, so this is, I got my glue gun. Sorry, I thought I had everything. But anyway, what this is it was a, I had a cheese dome. So this is like a marble plate that goes underneath of like a glass cheese dome. Well, I ended up breaking the glass part of it, but I saved the marble part of it. So whenever I use my glue guns, I just use it as the base. And then that way, when the glue drips, like I can just peel it off of the marble itself. And it doesn't burn, so it keeps my surfaces safe from the heat of the glue gun. So, am I talking fast? Sorry. I feel like having to run out and get an extra ingredient made me feel rushed, like I was talking really fast. So, I don't know. Okay, I'm going to clear some more things. So we're just going to let that heat up a little bit. And then I'm going to clear some more things from my table. So that way it doesn't look so cluttered and messy for you all. Okay, I think that's good. Let me move this and that. All right. So how are you all today? I hope you're doing well. Did you all have a nice Easter yesterday? So with today being April 1st, April Fool's Day, yesterday was March 31st, and it happened to be Easter as well. So I know we had a really nice day with family yesterday. It was really nice. So all my kids that are watching right now, hello. But yeah, so it was really nice. And the only one missing was my son Kirk, who's in Texas. But we did get to send him some pictures and some videos and chat with him like that since he couldn't be with us. But yeah, so after we had dinner, we played games, and we always love doing that as a family. It's just always so fun. So, okay, my glue gun is heated up, so I'm going to take one of these little styrofoam balls. And they're stuck in my package. There we go. So I'm actually going to we'll do two since we're doing this for now. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my skewer, and it doesn't matter where because these are going to be stuck, excuse me, these are going to be stuck on top of the pasta noodles. So you just want to take your skewer and you're just going to poke it just slightly into the styrofoam ball. Then you're going to pull it back out, and then we're going to add a little bit of glue in that hole, and then we're going to stick that stick back in there, okay? And the reason is we want it to, don't worry about the wispies, you can pull those off. We want it, the meatball, it's going to be a meatball. We want it to be stuck to the stick, and you'll see as we go along. Okay, and then this little thing, I don't know if you saw this. This is a cake pop holder, like, I don't know the proper name for it, but it's for cake pops. So, and I got this at Hobby Lobby. If you guys make cake pops or you're interested in this, definitely pick one of these up at Hobby Lobby. But I will say Hobby Lobby has sales every other week. So if you go this week and you look at this and it's in the Sunny Side Up bakery section, if it's not on sale and you don't need it, wait till the next week and it will be on sale. So anyway, I always love to share sales. And you all know, doesn't necessarily mean I spend less. I usually get more. Okay, so we're going to do the same thing. We're just going to stick it in here It's easier if you put it on the table and stick it. And then you just want to stick it a little bit. You don't want to push it through the other side. And then I'm just using my hot glue, pushing it right up against that, and then sticking the stick in it. Okay. And then that's it for that. So yeah, I don't know how I forgot my glue gun. We just needed it for that really quickly. Okay. So then you're just going to let those sit for a second. Let me unplug this. Okay. And then I'm going to move this out of our way as well too. So I got to put it to where my dogs can't get to it. Okay. Sorry. I hate when I go out of screen from you. I don't mean to. Okay. Let me take a sip of water. Let me check our time. We're doing great. Okay. Okay. So once you get those made, the next thing we're going to do is we are going to turn them into this dark looking meatball, right? Okay, so that one's all ready to go. This one is not. So I'm going to grab a paper plate. Let me just do a paper plate, the easiest, I think. There we go. Okay. All right, so now we have this grunge mix, right? So we're going to use it, and we're going to turn our little styrofoam balls into meatballs. I'm making a mess. Let me wipe that off. Oh my gosh, it smells so good, you guys. You can just smell that caramel from the coffee and the cinnamon and the vanilla. Anyway, they're amazing. Okay, so what we're going to do is I'm going to take it and we're just going to dunk the whole thing into this coffee grunge. And I meant to stir it up. I'm going to stir it with that. Okay, so we're just going to dunk it. And you're not going to worry about if it gets on the stick. Doesn't matter. Okay, so we're just dunking it in there like that. Can you see it? Okay. And then I'm going to let it drip off a little bit. Just like that. Okay, and then once it drips off, it's going to look like this. So you're going to see it's now like a dark looking meatball, right? Okay, and then I'm going to stick it in my little cake pop holder. Okay, so because this is like a coffee grunge mixture, it will get on the clear acrylic cake pop holder, but once it dries, you can just wash it off. Like it doesn't stain it. It doesn't, stay on there. That's all it does. Okay, it's the same thing. I'm just going to dunk it in there just like that. Hey, Lena, welcome, welcome. No worries. You are just fine. Anybody that joins late, although it's not late, like anybody that joins after any of our tutorials have started, you can always go back and watch them from the beginning and then just put #replay. And then that lets us know that you were there. And we can come back in and say hello. So, okay, so that's it for these two. So, and they are going to be a little drippy. So, put my lid back on there. This is very foamy because I just made it and shook it up. When you make yours, you can let the foam will settle and disappear. Like it'll just all go back into the mixture. And then you can just take a spoon and stir it because that cinnamon will settle on the bottom. And that's the reason that we're using it is we want to have the finished product. It won't, like if you painted these, it would just look like a painted cake ball. Whereas with this, it's like you get those little bits of cinnamon and little bits of the coffee grain in the beginning. Like when I first make it, there might be a little bit of grit from the coffee, but then once the coffee completely dissolves, it'll just be like little, you'll just be able to tell like there's little bits of cinnamon. So anyway, I did them twice. So do it once, let it completely dry, and then you'll do it again, and then it'll get darker. So I'll show you the difference. It's the same. We just did, like you'll see when it's wet, it's lighter brown, and when it's dry, it's the darker brown. So, okay. So let me put that there. Okay, and then I can leave that on the table, but I'm going to move these so that we can start mixing up our noodles and our sauce, right? Okay, I'm coming over here again too. Sorry. I need a table over here, right? Then I can just shift to my left. But okay, so if you guys have any questions, let me know. Okay, I'm going to move these out forward, and I'll show you what they look like. We're just going to make one of them, but I just want to show you the cupcakes. They turned out so cute. All right, so the next thing, we're going to make up our red sauce first. I think that that'll work out better because we're going to kind of let it sit and air out just a little bit while we're making up the noodles. So I'm just using these little plastic containers. These are not my favorite, y'all know, but it's okay. They work. Oh, I know what I forgot to tell you. You're also going to need a piping bag and a piping tip. I just saw I didn't grab a piping bag. So let me stick that in there. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is we're going to mix up our the red sauce. So let me grab my little scale again. Okay, if you, depending on how you make your crafts, like if you just want to mix it up and like eyeball it and like just, you know, a pinch here, a dash there, and then you get a color you like and you're happy with that, that's a-okay. Like I want you to know that's totally fine. Just because I teach my classes and I like to be consistent and that I like to be able to like repeat a recipe. I always, whatever I mix up, I kind of create a recipe out of it. And then that way I know if I see like I know, let me show you what we're making for those of you that just hopped on. I forgot to show you. Okay, so we're making April Fool's Day cupcakes and it's meatball and spaghetti is what we're making with a little Parmesan on there. But yeah, so I just know like if I create a recipe and then I want to make this again, I know my colors will be consistent and the textures will be consistent. So that's why I do recipes. You don't have to, and especially if you're just crafting for yourself and you're not going to be making several of them or you're not going to be selling them, you know, you can just mix it up and not worry about the recipes. So, okay, so I'm going to use my kitchen scale. I'm going to put my container and I'm going to zero it out. I'm going to grab one of my popsicle sticks and then we're just going to make up a small bunch of these. There's no need for a large one for right now. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to scoop some of it out and I'm just going to do 1 ounce of the Fast and Final for this recipe. I have my little notes over here so that, again, my little recipe's over here so I can see what I'm doing. Okay. So I'm going to put 1 ounce. Almost there. Okay, perfect. So there's 1 ounce and I'm using the Fast and Final. Again, this is the DAP, the lightweight spackle. Turn it this way for you. So this is what I'm using for this one. The Fast and Final tends to be a little wetter. So if you're going to use like the Red Devil, like the one time, you can use that instead if that's what you have. You just may need to add like some water or something more to thin it back down a little bit because we want it to be thick, a thick sauce, but we don't want it to be like watery runny, right? Okay, so I've got 1 ounce of that. Okay, and then the 2 colors that I'm using are, and let me grab, here we go. I'm just going to grab this little cup just to set my little popsicle stick in. Hey, Elizabeth, welcome, welcome. I'm so glad you caught me live too. I'm so happy you're here. Welcome. Okay, so we're going to use, I'm using the Americana in the True Red for this. Okay, you can use any color you want. This truly is an April Fool's Day cupcake. So as much as I like to do like realistic looking fake food, I just thought today would be a fun, whimsical day. So let me grab it again. So you'll see as it dries, you'll see the color of this as it dries, it gets a little bit darker. I wanted mine to look more of like a tomato sauce, like a tomato soup red, rather than like a cherry pie red. Does that make sense? But anyway, so I'm using this color and I'm going to do 1 ounce of the red. Reds are tricky. So any of you that have ever like done fake bakes and tried to get the red, they can be very tricky. But anyway, this one is just fine because we're using it as the sauce, right? So, okay, so I'm going to pour it in there. I'm going to have to shake it up a little bit. So again, if you guys have any questions, just let me know. I just wanted to do something really fun for April Fool's Day. So yeah, but again, I always think ahead. I think this will be really fun to add to a Halloween tiered tray. And actually, now that I think about it, maybe it needs a fork. What do you guys think? Hi, Eileen. Welcome, welcome. We are doing an April Fool's Day cupcake. It is spaghetti and meatballs. So there you go with a little Parmesan sprinkled on top. So yeah, let me know if you guys think we need a fork. I'll pull out my silverware after I do this, and I'll show you what forks I have, and you just tell me. Maybe, maybe not. So yeah. Okay, so I'm getting 1 ounce of the red in here. This is a 2 ounce bottle, so I've already used half of it. So I'm just trying to get the remaining out of here. So almost. Okay, so, and I'm also using, oops, almost. I want every last drop, so I have 1 ounce. Almost. Okay, there we go. All right, I'll set that there. Okay, and then I'm also using the Anita's in the chocolate brown, just because I need it to get a little darker. We want a rich sauce. Eileen says, how fun. It is fun, right? Oh my gosh. So yeah. Okay, and then for this one, we're going to do 0.3. Is that what I want? No, I want, yeah, 0.3. Okay. All right, and then I'm going to move my scale for a second while I stir this up. Yeah, reds can be a bit tricky to get like a bright red if you're trying to get bright red with your spackle. But I'm not. Like I said, I want it to be more of like pasta red sauce tomatoey soup color. That's where my creative brain went. So, all right. Okay, so for the spaghetti sauce or pasta sauce, whatever you want to call it, the red sauce, we're doing spackle, we're doing paint, and then we're going to add some, we're going to add the red flocking. So I'll show you that. So that's going to go directly into our sauce too. Okay. So you just want to mix it up really good. And I'll show you. And you can use any color paint you want. If you make this, like, have fun. Like, I'm just sharing with you what I use, and you don't have to do it exactly. I just hope this inspires you to do something. So yeah, so get creative. We're all creatives in our own way. So, okay, so let me pour that in there. Okay, and then for the flocking, I'm going to turn my scale back on. And let's zero that out. I'm going to set that in my cup so it doesn't get on my stuff. Okay, and for the red flocking, I'm just going to put in like 2 spoonfuls. Eileen says that's a good red. It is really pretty in person. So I'm just going to do like 2 heaping spoonsful. So that way, okay, here's the thing. The flocking is so lightweight. It's like if you try to measure, like weigh it out, it doesn't. It's like air. Like it's super lightweight. So anyway, I'm just going to put in like 2 heaping spoonsful. Okay. Well, that can stay. I was like, there's something in there. Okay, so I'm going to just do 2 heaping spoonsful. And then what happens, I should have showed you. It was very smooth, like saucy, like glossy saucy. And we wanted to give it texture. Like we wanted to make it look chunky kind of, right? Like I don't want it to be smooth and glossy. I want it to be a texture. Okay. All right. We're getting there. Okay, so you'll see now, let me hold it up closer. Let me do it on this. So now you can see, that's probably better. You can see I want it chunky, right? I just want it chunky. So that maybe it looks like chopped onions, green peppers, something are in here. Which you could do that too, if you wanted to add that. So, okay, so that's all I need on the red flocking. So put that aside. And then, okay, so now for this, I'm just going to leave this sit out because I'm actually going to use the popsicle stick to put the sauce on the cupcake. So I don't mind if it airs out a little bit. So, and we're going to be doing it shortly. So, okay, let me move our cupcakes. I'm going to move that there. Okay, so the next thing is we're going to make up our noodles. So I'm getting another container that's empty. And then I'm going to use the Fast and Final again. Let me grab another popsicle stick. Oh, Elizabeth says, what is the flocking made of? It's a good question. I don't know. I purchased it already looking like this in crumbs. I'm not quite sure. It's like it almost feels, I don't know what it feels like. It's soft. It's kind of got a foamy feel to it, like squishy. I'm not sure. I'm going to Google that for you because because I don't know. I have lots of colors. I already took my bucket out of here, so I was going to show you all the colors I had, but it just helps give it like some chunkiness. Like that's the purpose that I'm using it for. And if you don't want to use the red, you could use something else. Like sand would give it too much grit, and I didn't want that look of it. But also, I'm using the cream for the Parmesan cheese, and it just looks amazing. Here, let me show you the finished product again. Yes, it comes in lots of colors. So here's, like you can see, I've got the cream flocking on the top, and it just looks like Parmesan. Like it just does. Like it's really cool. Yes, comes in lots of colors. I've got a bucket full, and it's I order most of mine online, but we also have a local craft store here that's not, it's not really a craft store. It's a woodworking store, and I can get my flocking there too. So I tend to buy it, again, because I teach, I make a lot of things in bulk. And in May will be 4 years I've had my business, Heavens to Betsy Cakery. So I've got a lot of ingredients over the years. But anyway, because I buy mine in bulk, I buy them in big packages. And as you see, like I literally only use 2 teaspoons of this. So it goes a long way. But if you don't want to buy it in bulk, you can still find it online, like in smaller quantities. I just tend to find, like, if you buy it in, like, I always try to compare like the size and the cost. So like if you get a big bag for like $6 and then you get a teeny one for like $4, it's just more cost effective to me to go for the big bag for just a tiny bit more cost. You know what I mean? A little bit more price. So, okay, so we are going to make our noodles. So I'm going to go with 2 ounces this time of, we're going to be using a piping bag. And I don't think I said that in the beginning. So we need a piping bag and a piping tip. And I'm using the Wilton. This is the Wilton 10. I'm using this because I want it to be a spaghetti noodle, right? And I have smaller ones, but I wanted it, again, I wanted it to be really big and whimsical. So, oh, oopsie, I'm dropping my stuff. I dropped my caulking gun. Sorry, that was noisy. But anyway, I'm going with the bigger size just because I think it turned out really good. But they do make them in smaller. But if you get this, this is the Wilton, and it's a 10, and you're just looking for something with the open, like the open circle, so that it looks like you want a string, like a string of spaghetti, right? Okay, so we're going to go with 2. Let me scoop this in here. Oh, you're welcome. You're welcome. Yeah, it's so fun. I'll take a picture underneath my video on this tutorial. I'll take a picture. I'll take a picture of my flocking. I have lots of colors, like lots. So I have browns, greens, reds, yellows, the creams, like it comes in lots of colors. And I didn't buy it all at once. I just bought it for what I needed it for. Okay, I'm going to do 2, but I need a little bit more. But it's really fun. Like it's fun to use. Okay, that's 2. All right, and then for the spaghetti noodles, I'm using the Folk Art it's called Hazy Moon. So it looks like this. So it's kind of like a yellow color, like you can probably see it this way. Yeah. Okay, and then with that, I'm going to use just 0.1. Like it doesn't take a lot because I want to keep my, I want them to look like the pasta noodles, right? Let me grab this again. Sorry, I keep going backwards. I got room on my table now. But anyway, I wanted it to be the color of the noodles, like something similar to pasta, spaghetti noodles. So I'm going to leave it here now because I've got room. I had so much stuff before I couldn't. So we'll just leave it down there. Here, I'll turn it so you can see this. It's all stripping off. Okay, so I'm going to use 0.1 on my scale for this. I just want it to be like that creamy yellow. Sort of yellow. Okay, that's it. And I'll grab my stick. Okay, and then I'm going to stir this up, and then we're going to add clear caulking to this. The reason is we want those noodles. I don't want them to look like, I want them to keep their shape. Like I don't want them to lose their shape, right? So if we just did it without the caulking, and I'm using clear so that the color stays true. If you used white, which you could, you just might want to add more of the yellow color because the white caulking would, it would mute your color a little bit. So I know it's kind of hard with my cameras to see this, but Oh, thanks, Eileen. Yes, come back and watch the whole thing. This is fun. We'll be done here shortly. So, okay. So I'm going to mix this up. Make sure it's all combined. Just like that. So it looks like that. Okay. And then I'm going to get my scale back. And then I'm going to get my clear caulking. Okay. So I'm using, you can use any brand clear. I'm using the DAP, and it's just clear silicone. So it looks like this. It's easier to hold it in this camera, the big camera, because I can't fit it over here in this one. I kind of can. But anyway, you can use any brand, okay? And then we're just going to, I'm going to take the little nozzle off of it. And then I'm just going to add like, for this one, I'm just going to add like 0.3 because I want enough that, I'm going to switch hands so I can see it. I want enough in here so that when I mix it up, that it really holds its shape. Okay. So for me, I'm going to use 0.3. And, oops, a little bit more. Okay, that's it. All right, and then you just want to make sure if you're using your caulking gun to release it. And then I just use these little stoppers. It keeps my caulking from drying out. So I'm just going to twist that in there. And then I'm going to set it over here because this is the only time I needed the caulking. Okay. But before I go and stir it up, I'm going to wipe my hands. So there we go. So, okay. And then I'll show you. So we've got the mixture, and then I added the clear caulking. That's about how much I added. Like you can kind of see, it's not a lot, but it's enough so that when I mix it up, again, it's to help it hold its shape is the whole reason for it. Okay. So also you'll notice, let me show you. Before I mix it up, like this is very like smooth and creamy, and you're going to get a different texture. So you just want to make sure that when you mix it thoroughly. So that way the whole, let me start mixing and then I'll show you what I mean. It's going to change and it's going to get, see the inside of it? Here, I'll pick it up on a spoon. It changes the consistency. Okay. But we're going to be putting it in a piping bag. So you just want to make sure you get the entire mixture mixed up really good. Okay. So yeah, so it'll just get, you'll see texture in it now, which is what I wanted. Because, you know, pasta noodles are like, you know, you're using flour. So I wanted it to look more realistic in that sense. Okay, so let me show you now. Okay, now you can see the texture completely changed, right? But when you go to put it through your piping bag, you're still going to get these smooth little pasta swirls. Well, not pasta swirls, but spaghetti strands, I guess is what we'll call them, right? Okay, so that's all mixed up. Let me wipe my hand off. If you guys have any questions, just let me know. All right. I'm going to take a drink and then we're going to finish. We're going to put our little pastas and our sauce and our meatball. Okay, so I'm going to grab my piping bag and my piping tip. All right. I just use a mason jar to hold my piping bags. It's just my favorite thing to do. It's so easy. It's like having an extra hand. Okay, and then when I cut my bags for my tips, I like to cut mine so that it stays closer to the top of the tip. That way, when I squeeze the bag and put pressure, I don't worry about like the tip blowing out through the bag or the icing coming in and around the tip. Like it kind of stays where it's at. So anyway, so sometimes it's better to cut less and then come try it, make sure it fits, and then you can always cut more. Okay, but I'll show you what I mean. So I like to keep it closer to the top. There you go, like the top of the tip. All right, and then I just drop it in my mason jar and then pour it down. Okay, and then I'm just gonna fill it up. So are you guys doing anything special, anything fun for April Fool's Day, or is it just another Monday for you guys? I was excited for today because I got to participate in the Creators Crafting Day, which is so exciting. I'm so happy to be a part of it. I'm so happy for all of you too, because you have there's an amazing lineup of very talented people that are coming on, and it's going to be an all-day crafting event. So yeah, so if you're in the group already, all you'll need to do is hit refresh and you'll be able to see the next talented person coming up and sharing their creative craft for the day. But then you can always go back and watch all of us on replay. So don't feel like if you just don't have time, I don't want you to miss out. Be sure and come back and check them out. Okay. I'm going to grab another wet wipe my hands. So yeah. Oh, thank you so much, Jan. I'm super excited to be here and be a part of it with you all. So yeah. Okay. So yeah, I usually have my backdrop decorated behind me. I'll scooch and you can see. Right now we have Cokes, refreshing Cokes over here. And then I just moved our cupcakes over there. So in my private membership, I teach you how to make all kinds of things. And last week we did, we just called them refreshing Cokes or refreshing drinks. So I taught you how to make, we made Cokes, but we made them with the foam on the top. So let me grab one and give you a sneak peek of what we made. We made baby ones and then we made big ones. So yeah, so you'll see we made a Coke and we made these for Christmas, like got a jump start on our Christmas in July, but they have the foam on the top. And then we made the little babies too. So they had the little bubbles and then the little foam on top. So it's just a lot of fun. So anyway, so I normally have my backdrop, whatever we're working on for the month. But I cleared it off because I had my Easter decor back there. And then I wanted to decorate in my living room for Easter. So I took those. I took everything down and then decorated for Easter. And then now I'm getting ready for my workshop, which is coming up on April. Oh, it's coming fast. April 12th. So almost 2 weeks now, less than 2 weeks now. But anyway, so that's coming up and it's called Wooden Spoons Workshop. And it's our faux dough delights. So we're doing everything with fake dough. So we've got breads, cinnamon rolls, biscuits, pies. Like it's just going to be a fun day. So if you are interested in that, just comment below or, put it in the comments and then I'll give you the link so that you can join. Our workshops are $28. If you are a member, then you get a discount. And so the membership is $17 a month for our Cakery Content Club. And if you're a member, then you can purchase the workshops for just $10. So you save $18. So it's a huge savings. So, but anyway, so everything behind me is getting ready to decorate with our fake dough and foods and pies. So I just need to clear off my Cokes and start putting all the bread and bakery goods back there. So, okay. So whenever I make up icing, I always like to test it before I put it on my finished product, just to make sure that it's flowing and that it's coming out properly the way I want to. So what I do is I just give it a little squeeze, and I'm going to do it this way so you can see me. And then you can see it's definitely coming out the way I want. So then what I do is I just take it and stick it back in my container like that. Oh, and real quick with the workshop, I forgot. So anybody who joins the workshop we had a week promotion and it ends tonight at midnight. So anybody who joins the workshop or Wooden Spoons Workshop, Photo Delights, by tonight, April Fool's Day, April 1st, midnight, Eastern Standard Time, you will automatically get a free gift for joining our workshop. So, okay, so I'm going to move this out of the way. And then I'm just going to take my cupcake. And then what I'm going to do is we're just going to start squeezing it and making little spaghetti strands. Like, I don't know how else you call them. Okay, so I'm just going to put even pressure and I'm just going to kind of do some loop-de-loos just all over the place just to look like spaghetti. I like when some of mine kind of drips off of my cupcakes. So I'm going to kind of go all over the place. Just like that. Let me bring that up. Okay. So there you go. I just kind of stuck them everywhere, right? So they're just all over the place. Okay. Then before we grab our meatball, okay, so when you do your meatballs and they've cured, you're going to come back and you're going to cut them. So that way we want to leave a little bit sticking out of that skewer because we're going to stick that down in our sauce and our noodles. Okay. So I'm going to come back and grab my sauce and I've lost, oh, here it is. And then I'm going to stir that up. And then what I'm going to do is I'm just going to drizzle some sauce onto my cupcake. Right in the center, I'm going to start. So I'm just going to take a little bit. And I'm not really touching it. I'm just going to kind of let it fall off and wherever it goes. Okay. So, like that. So I'm going to put just a little, I'm putting a little dab there. Then I'm going to take my cupcake. No, I'm not. I'm going to take my meatball and we're just going to stick it in the middle, just like that, until it nestles in there, like that. Okay. And then I'm going to add, I'm just going to go around and see, I'm going to add some sauce. I want it dripping. Here, let me grab this one. I want it dripping off the side a little bit like that. And then I also want it on top of my meatball a little bit. Okay. So let me stick that back on there. So I'm just going to kind of look at it and see. I think I'm going to have it drip on this side. So I'm going to add just a little bit more. And we're almost there. We're almost done. So hang in there. So again, if you are in the group, Robin from Zimmy's Simple Designs is coming up next. So I want you to stay tuned and see what she's got planned for you. All right, and then I'm just adding some sauce onto the top of my meatball, like that. So you'll see. I'm going to put just a little bit more on this side. But yeah, I just thought this would be a fun April Fool's Day craft, something totally different. For all you that know me, I love doing realistic fake foods, so it's not something I normally would do unless it was more like Halloween or something kind of more whimsical. Yes, hi, I am in Ohio. Yep, I am. So, okay, so I've got my meatball. I've got all the drippings. Okay, so again, I just have this crushed. Let me grab my paper plate. I just have this where I just crushed up. I had a dried flour and I wanted it to look more like the oregano. So I'm just going to grab some of that before I do I'm just going to sprinkle some on there. It's a little heavy-handed, but that's okay. Okay. And then I've got some big stalks I don't want on there. Okay, and then let me grab the Parmesan, and I'm just going to take it. I'm just going to sprinkle it on with my hands, just like that. Let me move that up so I can get some on this side. So yeah, there you go. All right, so here's the newest one we just made, like our spaghetti with all of the meat sauce, Parmesan. I'll scooch that and then I'll show you the one that's finished. So yeah, so it'll look like this when you're done. So just a fun little meatball with spaghetti on a cupcake, right? Who knew? Okay, so there you go. Thank you all for joining me today, especially for all you who popped in and hung out with me on my page, Heavens to Betsy Cakery. I appreciate you all. So yeah, if you are not in the group, it's Creations of Jan's Crafty Friends Marketplace. It's a mouthful, but there's so much there for you. I encourage you, if you're not a member, go request to join. You'll get approved and you'll get to spend the day with us. It's our Creators Crafting Day today, and we have another one coming up later in the month. I'll post that on my page with that date. So thank you all for joining me. I appreciate you all, and I hope you have a fun April Fool's Day. And so go refresh your page, and then you will be able to hang out with Robin for a little bit. And then that's Robin of Zimmy's Simple Designs. So, all right, y'all. Thank you all for sharing some time with me this afternoon. I appreciate you all. But yeah, so I will be around. Thank you all again. Bye.